Good day. So, andito ako muli upang i-discuss sa inyo yung capital gains tax under CAREATE law. So, pag-uusapan natin today yung mga transactions na masasubject sa capital gains tax. And then, magbibigay din tayo ng mga examples dito. Okay? So, quick introduction lang sa ating capital gains tax. So, itong capital gains tax na ito ay mapapatawan lang kapag ang transactions natin ay within the Philippines. Ibig sabihin, kung nagbenta tayo ng mga property outside the Philippines, or yes, outside the Philippines, hindi po natin siya pwedeng patawan ng capital gains tax. The capital gains tax is only imposed within the Philippines. So, yun yung isa sa mga kailangan nung makita. Okay? So, any other transactions na nangyari outside the Philippines, it is subject to regular tax. Unless it is exempt by law. Basta tatandaan mo, capital gains tax imposed within the Philippines. So, pag-usapan na natin today kung ano-ano nga ba yung mga transactions na subject sa capital gains tax. Number one, sale of domestic shares not traded in a stock exchange. So, una mong titignan dito, ang dapat na mabenta ng ating taxpayer ay domestic shares. So, kahit saan ka man nagbenta, basta ang binenta mo ay domestic shares, this transaction is within the Philippines. Ang situs ng taxation natin, if the taxpayer is selling domestic shares of stock, ay within the Philippines yan. And tatandaan mo, to be subject sa ating capital gains tax, the sale of domestic shares should not be traded in stock exchange. So, yung mga traded po sa stock exchange, ito yung mga shares ng ating San Miguel Corporation, Universal Robina Corporation, and any other publicly listed companies dito sa ating Philippines. So, sino-sino nga ba yung mga subjects sa ating capital gains tax? Under selling of domestic shares not traded in stock exchange. So, all individual and corporate taxpayers are, or it can be subject to capital gains tax under selling of domestic shares not traded. So, lahat, either resident citizen, resident alien, non-resident citizen, non-resident alien, domestic corporation, and foreign corporations, sila po ay pwedeng masubject sa capital gains tax. What is the tax base of this? Selling price less cost of shares. So, bawasan mo lang ng kanyang adjusted cost. Okay? So, ang tawag doon ay net capital gain. Yung cost mo, dapat masubject ka sa capital gains tax, mas mataas yung selling price mo. Kumita ka. Yung kita mo na yun ay subject yan sa ating 15% net capital gain. Who is the withholding agent? The withholding agent, of course, si buyer. Si buyer, siya yung mag-withhold. Dito sa ano natin, sa example natin, kapag nagbebenta tayo, si buyer po ang magwi-withhold no net capital gain and siya din yung magre-remit kay BIR. So what if the shares are traded in a stock exchange? So dito, kapag traded yung ating shares na binenta, hindi po siya CGT. Ito po ay business tax. It is business tax. So, for instance, nag-invest ka ng shares mo sa ating Globe and then binenta mo siya, okay? So, yung sale mo na yun, masa-subject yan sa ating business tax. So, who are the subject kapag nagbebenta tayo ng shares traded in stock exchange? So, dito ang subject ay lahat din ng ating individual and corporate taxpayers. The tax base is the selling price or gross selling price. Tax rate is 6/10 of 1% ng ating selling price. And the withholding agent, si stockbroker. So if you tried investing on stocks using legit stockbrokers, so if you observe na yung selling price mo na mare-receive mo as an investor, bawas na yan ng tax rate ng business tax. Eto, bawas na ng ating tax yan. And si stockbroker, yung withhold niyang 6/10 of 1% of selling price, i-remit niya yun kay BIR. Okay? So, maliwanag? So, dito tatandaan mo lang, transactions na subject sa ating capital gains tax ay ito lang, yung number 1. Sale of domestic shares not traded in stock exchange. So, ito yung CGT. Ito, business tax. Business tax. So, example, para mas ma-imagine natin. So, number 1, Alapas sold 5,000 shares of stock of Eminence Corporation with the cost of 50,000 or 150,000 pesos to etc. Determine the tax treatment of the sale. So, the sale, so the first thing na titignan mo ay, so domestic shares ba? So, 'pag walang sinabi sa mga question, so i-assume mo muna na ito ay domestic corporation. Next, traded or not traded? So, usually sa mga questions and problems natin, sinasabi niya naman kung listed yung corporation, sasabihin niya. So, dito 'pag hindi siya listed o kaya 'pag sinabi niyang San Miguel, yung mga publicly listed companies, listed yon. Pero 'pag wala siyang sinabi, hindi niya din sinabing listed, ito ay, ah, hindi siya tini-trade sa ating stock exchange. Therefore, this transaction is subject to CGT, capital gains tax. So, if you are required to answer this, you can calculate its capital gains tax. Okay, so selling price is 150,000. Ang cost of shares ay 50,000. Thus, the net capital gain of Alpha for this transaction is equal to 100,000. The 100,000 is subject to 15% capital gains tax. Therefore, ang capital gains tax for this transaction is 15,000. This 15,000 is to be remitted by the buyer, which is Zeta, to BIR. siya yung magbabayad kay BIR. Okay? Yan yung number 1 natin. Next example. What if alpha, the same question, but alpha is a dealer of securities? Same transaction, but alpha is a dealer of securities. Ibig sabihin, nagbebenta talaga siya ng shares of stock. So dito, pag si alpha ay dealer, masasubject ba siya sa capital gains tax? Ang sagot ay hindi. Ito ay masasubject sa regular tax. So kapag dealer ka, normal course of operation ng pagbebenta ng shares, so hindi ka masasubject sa capital gains tax. Ikaw ay masasubject sa regular tax. So pinag-uusapan natin dito yung hindi dealer. Exemption to the rule yun. Okay? Next tayo. Beta sold 3,000 its shares of stock of San Miguel Corporation for 288,000. Determine the tax treatment of the sale. So the tax treatment of the sale is a business tax. Why? Because the shares of stock or because the San Miguel Corporation is a publicly listed companies. Therefore, its stocks are traded in stock exchange. And if the shares of stock are traded in stock exchange and the taxpayer sold these shares, therefore, the tax treatment of the sale is not a capital gains tax. It is a business tax, which is subject to 6 over 10 of 1% ng ating selling price. So, what is the selling price for this? 288,000. And then, sino or ilang percent times 6 over 10 times 1%. So, pag tinanong sa atin ilan ang business stocks nito, ang isasagot natin ay 188 times 6 over 10 times 0.01, 1728. Who is the withholding agent? The withholding agent is the stockbroker. Okay, si stockbroker, it may be banks or ano nga ba yung mga legit na mga brokers dito sa ating Philippine PhilStocks, ayan. So, if you tried investing in stock exchange, ayan, hindi ka na magbabayad ng sales tax kasi kapag nagbenta ka ng shares mo, 'pag binenta mo yung ininvest mo na ano, na stocks natin, assuming kumita ka sa stock market, babawasan na 'yan ng ating stockbroker na business tax na 6/10 of 1% ng iyong selling price. Then si stockbroker, siya na yung magre-remit kay BIR. Liwanag? Okay, so yan yung unang transaction natin sa capital gains tax. So pangalawa dito ay okay, pag-usapan muna natin yung ating overview, gross income from sale of real property. So if the property is an ordinary asset, such as inventory, property held for sale, property used in trade or business, it is an ordinary asset. Kung bang ginagamit mo sa business, ordinary asset yun. Real property used in trade or business. So dito, if the asset is an ordinary asset, it is subject to regular tax. Regular tax lang 'yan. Inventory, held for sale, property used in trader business, real property used in trader business, it is subject to regular tax. These transactions are never subjected to capital gains tax. If it is capital asset, so let's see. The definition of capital assets are all other properties that are not ordinary assets. So ordinary assets are assets that are used in business, such as mga yan, inventory, real property used in trade or business. Capital asset, residual definition lang siya. Kung hindi siya ordinary, it is a capital asset. Hindi mo siya ginagamit sa business. So, taxation of real property. If it is ordinary asset, as I said kanina, it is subject to regular tax. If capital asset, titingnan mo muna if personal property such as, for instance, meron kang ah, repair shop, meron kang repair shop, mga motorcycle, repair shop, for instance. Nagbenta ka ng, let's say, washing machine, halimbawa. Halimbawa, mahal yung washing machine mo, nagkakahalaga ng mga 10,000, halimbawa lang. So, the washing machine is not an ordinary asset. It is not used in the motorcycle repair shop. Therefore, it is a capital asset because washing machine is not used in business. Okay, so personal property, definition niya, ito po ay nade-deliver. Ayan. 'Pag real property, ito ay yung mga building, lands, okay, yung mga yon. Kapag personal property yan, okay, it is subject to a regular tax. Regular tax lang yan. But if it is real property, for instance, nagbenta ka ng land na hindi mo ginagamit sa business, that real property is subject to capital gains tax. Therefore, in short, Uh, if the is sale of real property, sale of real property classified as capital asset. Classified as capital asset, ito ay subject sa capital gains tax. So if it is an ordinary asset, regular tax. If it if the capital asset is a personal property, it is regular tax. But if the capital asset is a property, real property, and it is classified as capital asset, that transaction will be subjected to capital gains tax. Okay? So, sino-sino nga ba yung mga subject sa capital gains tax na ito? Sale of real property. Who? So dito ang sagot natin ay all taxpayers. Either individual or corporate taxpayers, they can be subjected to capital gains tax. Individual or corporate taxpayer. Ayan. 'Pag individual, lahat po, lahat. 'Pag corporation, kapag individual, lahat, lahat ng taxpayer. Kapag corporation, okay, ito ay kapag domestic corporation, RFC and NRFC. If It is domestic corporation na nagbenta ng real property classified as capital asset, it will be subjected to CGT. Okay. It should be a domestic corporation. RFC, it will be subject to regular tax. And if it is non-resident foreign corporation, assuming the non-resident foreign corporation sold a real property classified as capital asset, it is subject to final tax of 25%. So generally, the gross income of NRFC is subject to final tax of 25% under the Tariff Law. So, if individual taxpayers, lahat po ng individual taxpayers, resident citizen, resident alien, non-resident citizen, non-resident alien engaged in trade or business, or non-resident alien not engaged in trade or business, they will be subject to uh, capital gains tax kapag nagbenta po sila ng sale of real property and that real property is classified as capital asset. If it is corporation, if it is domestic, CGT siya. RFC, regular tax. NRFC, final tax. Okay? So, tax base. The tax base of this transaction is whichever is higher ng ating selling price and ng ating fair market value. Tax rate natin, whichever is higher. Whichever is higher. Tax rate natin ay 6% na whichever is higher ng ating selling price or FMB. Selling price and fair market value. Filing of capital gains tax. So, the BIR form na ginagamit dito ay yung ating 1706 Final Capital Gains Tax. For onerous transfer of real property is classified as capital assets. Whether it is taxable or exempt transaction, you are required to file a BIR form 1706. So, who is the one who will file this? The seller ang magpa-file. When? Within 30 days following the sale or transfer. So, nabanggit ko din kanina, yun ang ating tax rate ay 6%. So, recap lang, real property, ito ay subject to 6% selling price versus FMB. The FMB is the zonal value imposed by the BIR or assessed value by the city assessors. So, pag nagbebenta ka ng real property, magbibigay si BIR ng zonal value and meron ding assessed value yung ating mga city assessors. And then iko-compare mo yun sa ito yung fair market value, whichever is higher ng dalawa. Whichever is higher ng zonal value imposed by BIR or assessed value ng ating assessors. Iko-compare mo yan sa selling price. Yung mas mataas sa selling price at FMB, it is subject to 6% capital gains tax. So in short, whichever is highest sa selling price, zonal value, and assessed value. So, ayun, ganun din. If the real property is sold outside, for instance, domestic corporation has a real property classified as capital assets on assuming meron siyang building halimbawa sa ibang bansa. So, if the that domestic corporation sold the real property which is located outside the Philippines, that transaction is not subject to capital gains tax. It will be subject to regular tax. Why? Because capital gains tax is only imposed in the Philippines. The sale should be within the Philippines. Kapag sa ibang bansa yun, regular tax yun, wag ka na mag-isip. 'Pag binenta niya yung halimbawa real property sa ibang bansa, regular tax yun, okey? Tatandaan niyo, ha. Imposed lamang yan within the Philippines, therefore the real property should be located in the Philippines. The situs of taxation of real property ay kung nasaan yung ating real property. Kung land, nasaan yung land, 'pag yung land nasa Pilipinas, ang sale mo 'pag binenta mo 'yan ang transaction kung nasaan yung lupa, okey? So, exemption, sale to government. If there is a sale of real property to government, the taxpayer has the option, the seller of course has the option to subject it to regular tax or CGT. Bahala siya. Of course, pipiliin mo yung may pinakamaliit na tax effect for the taxpayer. So, if it opted not to choose the CGT and the taxpayer opted the sale to be subject to real property tax, or I mean regular tax, it is subject to regular tax. That is why it is an exemption. Sale of principal residence. Ibig sabihin 'pag nagbenta ka ng, bahay mo, benta ka ng bahay. Bahay means home. Paano 'pag madami kang bahay? According sa ating tax code, halimbawa, if the seller has many house, alin ang tinutukoy na principal residence? Ang principal residence mo ay yung tinatawag mong home. Okay, so magkaiba pang definition ng house sa home, yung home, siyempre yung kahit saan ka halimbawa, may problema ka, gusto mong umuwi, yung main na bahay mo, ayan, home yun. Mga kasama mo yung may tuturing mong ano talaga, home mo, okey? So, hindi yung rest house lang, hindi. I mean, 'di ba, yung bahay mo yung kung nasaan yung family mo, kung ano yung kino-consider mong home, according yun sa ating BIR, okey? If the taxpayer sold his principal residence, it will be exempt from CGT if the proceeds are utilized within 18 months. 'Pag nagbenta ka ng principal residence mo and then bibili ka ng new principal residence, ibig sabihin dapat ma-utilize mo 'yan within 18 months. Number 2 requirement, sabi lang dito, notify mo lang si commissioner or BIR na ano, na i-utilize mo, bibili ka ng bagong bahay. And ma mo lang ito once in every 10 years, okey? So ayan po, ulitin ko, paano magiging exempt from tax? Binenta mo bahay mo, sold yung, bahay mo na kino-consider mong home, and then bibili ka ng bago, bagong bahay. Example tayo, Kelvin sold his residential house. and lot 10 million. Fair market value is 12 million and the house and lot was purchased for 6 million. 1 month later, he purchased his new resi- principal residential house and lot for 14 million. Determine the tax liability of Calvin. So, uh, who is the taxpayer? Calvin. Ano yung binenta? House. House and lot. Okay. Principal residence? Yes, it is a principal residence. Generally, it is subject to, dahil ito ay residential house, hindi siya ginagamit sa business. House and lot, real property. Therefore, the residential house and lot is a capital asset. So, generally, it should be subject to capital gains tax, whichever is highest ng selling price. Okay, selling price na 10 million and FMB niya 12 million. So, dito ay magiging exempt dapat ito. Magiging exempt. Okay. Ang exempt diyan ay bakit? Dahil bumili siya ng panibagong residential house and lot. 'Pag hindi siya bumili, halimbawa hindi siya bumili, ilan ang CGT nun? Ang CGT nun halimbawa hindi siya bumili ng panibagong bahay. Halimbawa ito lang, what if ito lang yung transaction natin? The CGT is 10 versus 12. Whichever is higher ng selling price versus FMB. So, 12 ang pipiliin mo times 6%, it is 720,000 CGT. Kaso, ang exemption to the full, binenta mo bahay mo, bumili ka ng panibagong bahay. Magkano yung cost nung panibagong bahay mo? 14 million. Magkano mo binenta yung old na bahay mo? 10 million. Na-utilize mo ba yung proceeds? Nagamit mo ba? Yes. 14 million yung bagong bahay mo. 10 million yung pinangbenta mo sa lumang bahay mo. Therefore, mai-utilize mo lahat yon. The tax liability of Kelvin is zero. Wala po siyang babayadang CGT. It is exempt from capital gains tax. So, under the taxation, there is a cost of new principal residence. Okay, so tingnan mo yung cost mo nung old house. Cost ng ating house. Old house and lot. 6 million. Okay, yan na ba yung ano natin, ang cost ng bagong principal residence under the taxation? Ang idadagdag mo dito ay yung additional cost ng bahay mo. So, 14 million yung selling price. Okay. Tapos 10 million yung pinangbenta mo, 10 million. So, dito ang additional cost mo ay 'di ba nagdagdag ka ng 4 million. So, yung dinagdag mo na 4 million dito, yun yung additional cost ng bahay mo. Kaya ang additional cost ng bahay mo ay magiging 10 million. The formula for cost of new principal residence is the cost of old, 6 million, plus mo yung additional cost. Yung selling price, minus mo yung selling price ni new, yung ginastos mo na bago, new house, kamo na lang. Tapos yung selling price mo. okey. So, nagdagdag ka ng 4,000,000. Sabi ni taxation, sige dahil nagdagdag ka ng 4,000,000, ang cost ng bahay mo na ay yung 6,000,000 na cost mo nung old, plus yung 4,000,000 na dinagdag mo, 10,000,000. So, what if, another example, what if hindi mo na-utilize lahat, puwede ba yun? Halimbawa 8,000,000 lang yung nabili mong bahay, may babayadan ka bang CGT? Meron. Kung lahat ng pera mo ginamit mo sa pambili ng bagong bahay mo, exempt yun. Pero 'pag hindi naman lahat ng pera mo ay naibili mo ng bagong bahay, siyempre yung hindi mo naipangbili ng bagong bahay, yun yung magiging subject sa CGT natin. Ilan ba ang iyong selling price dito? Selling price mo 10,000,000. Ilan yung ating unutilized? Unutilized, 10,000,000 yung pinambenta mo, bumili ka lang ba ng bagong bahay, ang cost niya lang 8,000,000. Therefore, 8/10, hindi, 8,000,000, 'di ba? 8,000,000 minus 10,000,000, ayan. Bale ito ay 2,000,000. Yung unutilized mo dito ay 2,000,000. Unutilized portion. Hindi mo naman puwedeng dayain si BIR, 'di mo ginastos, eh. Sabi ng batas 'pag ginastos mo 'yan sa pambili mo ng bagong bahay, exempt ka. Eh, hindi mo ginastos lahat. Therefore, sabi ni BIR, hindi puwede. Yung hindi mo nagastos, patawan natin ng CGT. Ilan yung CGT dito? Ilan ba yung supposedly exempt? Supposedly subject to CGT, 720. So, ipa-rate mo lang yung ating sagot diyan. So, 20% ng ating 720, 144,000. So, ito yung CGT. If assuming Kelvin only purchase 8,000,000 out of 10,000,000 in purchasing his new principal residence. Under the preceding number, the basis of cost of your principal residence ay yung selling price, di ba 10,000,000, ilagay mo lang dito yung utilized portion. Ilan ba yung utilized mo? 8,000,000, 8,000,000. So, 8/10 multiply mo lang sa cost ng principal residence mo. Ilan ba yung cost mo? 6,000,000. So, dito ang cost of principal residence mo ay ₱8,000. Ayan. Question dito. Okay, so ayan po yung example natin sa capital gains tax. So, one of the tricky question dito ay halimbawa, nagbenta siya ng, assuming ito ay palitan lang natin ng clear ink natin. Tricky question, palitan mo ng ayan, tanggalin mo, residential lot. 'Pag ganyan ba, puwede ba siyang magamit sa CGT? Puwede ba siyang mag-claim ng CGT? Ano ang exemption lang sa CGT? Ang exemption lang sa CGT 'pag binenta mo yung bahay, ayan, 'pag nagbenta ka ng bahay, bibili ka ng panibagong bahay, ayan. 'Pag bumili ka ng panibagong bahay, ayan, bagong bahay, exempt. Pero 'pag ang binenta mo lupa, lupa lang at bumili ka ng bahay, puwede ka bang mag-claim ng CGT doon? Assuming land lang binenta mo, land, ayan, oo, land, yung mga palay-palay pa yan. Binenta mo yung land mo para bumili ng panibagong bahay. Ang tanong, puwede ka bang makapag-claim ng CGT dito? Ang sagot ay makapag-claim ng exemption from CGT. Ang sagot ay hindi puwede. Ang according lang sa ating BIR rule para ma-avail mo ang exemption, ibenta mo yung principal residence mo and then bumili ka ng and then bibili ka ng bagong bahay. Assuming lupa 'yan, ang iyong tax liability dito ay yung 720 letter apple, ayan. Bakit? Bahay to bahay lang po ang CGT. 'Pag ang question lang ay lot lang, binenta mo yung lupa mo para bumili ka ng bahay, hindi ka puwedeng mag-claim ng exemption. The transaction will be subjected to CGT. So, kapag meron pa kayong gustong ipa-discuss, meron lang kayong gustong, topics na naguguluhan kayo, comment down below sa ating comment sections and then abangan yung ating susunod na discussion for today. So, yun lang. See ya.